So, the thing I see over and over with my clients, and I've done in my own life, in relationships, that we hear about, we know this in our head, we know that we shouldn't do it, but we do it anyway. And it is our attempt to try to fix someone else, to try to address their insecurities, to try to love them and compliment them out of feeling insecure and out of their internal dialogue. And it rarely works, but it's really important that we look at why we're doing this and why it doesn't work. Because when we understand that, we can actually take some steps to showing up differently. So, very quickly before I dive in, if you're new here, I'm Ketra Thompson. I'm a certified master hypnotist and a relationship recovery coach with a focus in attachment style. So, what I do with my clients is we go back on a subconscious level, we reframe the old programming that's driving their unwanted behavior patterns, their attachment style, their unwanted feelings, and we reframe it at the root. And then we move into implementing a new way of being and showing up and connecting. So, if you'd like to learn more about that, you can check out the link in the description below. There's all the information there for my newest program that is both for women and men, the Secure Self Blueprint. This is a program that allows you to heal from that heartbreak, that divorce, that discard, that relationship rupture. And then there's lots of other options there too, for an individual personalized program. So check it out. All of the information is there. You can set up a consultation call so that you and I can chat and we can get to the heart of what's going on and I can make my best recommendation. Okay, so you've done it, I've done it, we've all done it, where we see the reality of who someone is. We see their goodness, we see their potential, we see their heart underneath the surface, and we just think, well, if they just, believed in themselves, if they just knew how much I loved them, if I just helped them understand that I'm here for them, that I think they're great, that they're capable, they're going to believe me and they're going to show up in this relationship in that way. Now, the problem with this is we've got to look at what's really going on in the brain. Now, our brain is primarily programmed from birth to age 7. That's when we are programming the subconscious mind part of our brain by assigning meaning to everything that happens to us. And after the age of 7, we continue to have things programmed in it, but it's much more difficult. It requires trauma or complex trauma, repetitive behaviors from others to actually get in there and reach the subconscious mind. And why it's so important that we reach the subconscious mind is because it's controlling over 95% of everything we think, feel, and do. It's running the show. But the problem with that is around age 7, what happens is the critical factor becomes activated. So this is the comparing mechanism inside your brain that guards the subconscious mind. It keeps new information from getting in there because it believes that everything that's in there in the program is accurate. And it's not accurate. Because when we program our subconscious mind, we are doing it from a place of no discernment, no understanding. We are young. We don't know why the people around us are doing what they're doing. We can't say that they had good intentions because we don't even understand that yet. And so these beliefs are created with no discernment really, really early on. And what happens is it guards against anything different. So, for example, if someone gives you a compliment that you don't believe, what's happening is this little guard over your subconscious mind is like, just a minute here. Wait, that doesn't line up with my belief system about myself or what I deserve or what's true. And it rejects the compliment. And the same thing happens when you are trying to love someone into change, trying to compliment them into changing. Now, it doesn't mean that those things don't maybe initially get you some results. But depending on how much they're misaligned with the person's programming in their subconscious mind is going to determine the level of resistance that happens when you use this method. So as we use it with young children, it's great. They're still programming their subconscious mind. They need to hear all the good stuff. But we use it with an adult and it's completely different because it triggers that critical factor, the protective function that's like, that's not true. You're trying to trick me. You're trying to pull the wool over my eyes. You're trying to manipulate me. This is not true. and it rejects the information. And then we've got to add to that that it brings up unwanted feelings when it's not believed. And maybe even you bringing up something that your partner, you want them to address or look at, brings up unwanted feelings. And so the narrative starts getting formed in that person's mind to villainize you. You are telling them non-truths. You are telling them things that are not accurate. You are going against the subconscious programming. You are in the wrong, and they start to see you in the wrong. And then there's confusion that comes because they see that you're being kind, they see that you're being complimentary, but they start to resent you for it because it brings up so much confusion inside of them. And this is mostly unconscious, where they don't believe they deserve it. They don't believe they are these things. They don't believe that they have the ability to be this way, that the thing you see in them. And they start to resent you for even saying it. They start to believe that you are the enemy and that you want something from them that they don't want to give. So I want to give you an example, not just from our subconscious programming from our parents, but let's remember we are societally programmed. We are growing up in an environment with media and television and our peers and our schoolmates and our siblings and everything telling us how we're supposed to be and the expectation of who we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to show up in the world. And so if you think about it, let's look at sort of the difference between messaging between men and women, okay? Men are oftentimes told their only value is in providing monetarily, money, financially, and that they're supposed to do that. But it's a very heavy weight. It's a heavy burden for a man to feel like they have to always do that. And it's interesting because when the women's lib movement started with women wanting to go into the workplace, men actually in anonymous interviews over and over said they were glad. They were so glad because the pressure on them felt unbearable. And when we realize this, we can look at these other factors. So I'm not attacking men here, but I'm trying to give you an understanding of where these narratives and why you actually can't change what's going on inside comes from. So around that time, The Hulk was a show that kids watched. And if you're my age, you remember that show where this mild-mannered sort of nice guy, whenever he got really angry, he turned into the Hulk. He got big muscles, and he turned green, and he was angry, and he smashed things. When they asked the little boys back then, what would you do if you could be the Hulk for one day? The overwhelming, most common response was, I would smash my mommy. And the reason this is there is due to not only the way their mom maybe interacted with them, but also societal conditioning. So this expectation that they are supposed to be a certain way, they're supposed to be tough. A lot of boys get dismissed, get kind of neglected emotionally, and their big feelings get ignored or judged as if they're bad. Stop that. You shouldn't be that way. And so there is a resentment between not being able to be seen and heard, and then this person who is telling them what to do and how to do it and all the rules, because typically mothers are the enforcer in a home dynamic of things like that, coupled with societal conditioning that men have to somehow be over women, have to be stronger, tougher, and crush them, put them down. And so we also have the dynamic of the dad in a house that continually puts down, belittles, shames the kids, makes fun of them, pokes fun at them, and writes it off as a joke. And it's really actually quite demeaning. And so you've got all this programming going on under the surface, and you think, I'm just going to love you out of your destructive patterns. I'm going to compliment you out of them. And it doesn't do what you think it will do. Because oftentimes there's a lot of resentment for the role that this person is having to play. And even in women, there is resentment for the role they've been told they have to play. The supportive role or the submissive role or the, always have to present a certain way. And so when that's present and there is the programming in the subconscious mind that is contrary to what you are trying to accomplish by loving someone, by complimenting them, by encouraging them. There becomes an internal battle inside of them, and you feel like eventually you're just banging your head on a brick wall because it's not getting through. It's not resonating. It's not reaching them. It's words are sort of cheap. And so we think we can contort ourselves into changing someone else, and it simply isn't true. It actually magnifies their insecurity. So you believing that someone can grow, can accomplish something, that they can, show up in a new way, it's a great thing, but it triggers their insecurities. Almost like, how dare you expect me to do this thing that's going to make me fail, and then I'm going to feel worse. So there's resentment around your belief in them because they don't have belief in themselves. So I hope this doesn't sound too confusing. They don't believe that they are capable of these things. They don't believe that they can show up in a way that will be reasonable enough. So when you have a partner that says things like, enough is never enough for you, I'm never enough, I can never do enough, it's never good enough, that is them revealing what's actually going on inside of their belief system, inside their programming. They believe I'm not enough. They believe I'm never going to be enough. They believe I can never be all of these things. And so they project it onto you because you believing in them and thinking that they are capable and seeing the good in them makes them feel like they're never going to be enough. And so they say it to you. I'll never be enough for you. I'll never be good enough for you. Nothing will ever be enough for you. You just want more and more and more and more. And think about the societal conditioning, especially with men, that they're supposed to provide. They're supposed to provide financially, which is this heavy weight when we live in a society that is very high inflation, expensive. It's a lot. Like, this isn't our grandparents' era where you could be a baker in a grocery store your whole life, retire with a pension, your wife never has to work, and you can raise 4 kids. That's literally the story of my ex-husband's grandpa. That was possible back then. It's not possible now. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of pressure. And so you've got a belief system that I'm supposed to just show up this way and it's supposed to be enough. And it's not enough because what we want in a partner is actual connection, actual teamwork, actual doing life together and being each other's cheerleader. And what I think most people miss is people want that. They say that's what they want. They say that's what their intention is. But at the end of the day, it's not how it plays out in relationships because of the internal programming. Whenever we have this internal programming, it is keeping our nervous system from relaxing. Because when we aren't in our full self-acceptance, which does not mean excusing bad behavior in ourselves, what it means is we are allowed to make mistakes. We know we're learning from those mistakes. We're self-compassionate. When we are in that place, our nervous system is relaxed. It's calmed down, and it's in a place where we can be curious about the other person. We can be open. We can communicate without control, without dominance, and without assumptions. These silent assumptions get made because of our subconscious programming all the time. And we're having these conversations, and as you're trying to approach communicating some kind of need or a hope for some kind of shift, the other person is filtering it through their protective guard over their subconscious mind. Okay, this critical factor piece is saying that's not true. That's not what's in your programming. That's not what is right in your mind, because the programming went in there without your awareness of anything around you, no discernment. And so you cannot love someone into change. They will just resent you for it. They will just hate you for it. They will just feel so triggered by any kind of mirror that you hold up for them that they will blame the pain they feel as they look at themselves and the shame that it reveals. They will blame it on you for making them feel that way, for bringing this into their awareness. So whether you're trying to make a request for change or you're just trying to love them and be compassionate, they will reject it if they don't believe they're actually worthy of love. if they don't believe they are capable of the things you see them as capable of, they will reject it and they will have a battle inside themselves and they will have a battle with you. And I have personally asked this question of several people who self-identify as dismissive avoidant. And what they say to me is, more than anything, I want love. Like more than anything, I want that deep connection. I want to love and be loved, but I don't think it will ever happen. And they don't think it will ever happen because they have so many protective functions in their subconscious programming that push the other person away. It pushes the other person over and over and over away so that they keep themselves from being hurt. But in the process, they actually end up keeping themselves from the very thing that they long for, because it is so dysregulating to their nervous system, because their subconscious mind brings up all these old beliefs. They will not allow themselves to receive. They will not allow themselves to accept. And dismissive avoidants are not the only ones who do this. Anxious attachment style and even a fearful avoidance, they do this too. They have these protective functions that keep them from receiving. And as we project our belief of what someone else is onto them, thinking, but they're capable, it's possible. It's not possible for you to love them into loving themselves. That is an inside job. And that's why it's so important that you learn to love yourself, not in the superficial way, but in a way that is connected to your self-worth, that is centered around a calm nervous system. Because as you love yourself, as you're deeply connected to your self-worth, you're able to function from a place of clarity, a place of calmness, a place of not taking on their assumptions about you, their criticisms and judgments that are unfairly projected onto you, and you're able to see more clearly. Now, does that mean you're never going to be hurt by their behavior? No. We're human. We're going to have moments where we are not at our best, where we are tired, where we are exhausted, where something they said does wound us because there's an old wound in there. But the more you have a calm, centered nervous system and the more you're connected to your own self-worth, the more easily you're going to be able to function and not assume that you can change someone else, and you're not going to take their assumptions about you as personally. And that is why the subconscious work is so incredibly important. So one thing you can start with is you can start checking in with yourself. You can start tuning into what you need every day. What am I feeling? What do I need? Slowing down enough to allow emotion or feeling to flow through you without judgment, without making it some awful thing that you need to shut down and avoid. Because as we push that down, it just creates a buildup of intensity until we burn out. And all of this disconnection literally will take years off of your life. If you are not in a emotionally safe, connected environment with other people, it will take years off of your life because your cortisol will continue to spike and it will dysregulate the systems in your body. If you are totally isolated and around no one, it will also take years off your life. So it's really important that the connections you have are healthy, and that starts with you. It starts with you getting healed from the inside out. And that allows you to connect with people much more easily and to stop overfunctioning by trying to love someone else into being healed. It simply doesn't work. So if you'd like some help with that, check out the links in the description below. I would love to chat with you and create something custom that addresses your issues. Because if you're in pain in your relationships, you're probably literally taking years off of your life. If you are isolated and unable to connect and operating out of fear, you may literally be taking years off of your life. This has been heavily studied, and it is the disconnection of a toxic relationship or no connections at all is much more damaging than smoking, than obesity, all of it. Being centered and calm in your nervous system and having healthy connections is the best thing you can absolutely do for yourself. So if this content resonates with you, I really appreciate it when you click like and subscribe so you can be notified every time I post a new video. And until next time, I hope you curate a life by your own design.